Welcome to DT Madness, Chronicles from the Third Life, episode 100, July 28th, 2024. So glad you could make it. Indeed, here we are, episode 100. And got some listener questions in store for today. I've got some other ramblings. As usual, I'm headed to St. Louis and then Noblesville, Indiana, um, Chaffetz Arena in St. Louis, and then Deer Creek. It's got another name now, Ruoff Music something, but Deer Creek. And to see Phish play 5 shows, 2 in St. Louis and then 3 in Deer Creek before heading home and starting the routine with school and such. Um, I have documented how much I love Phish. I probably talk about it every week here. It was something that kind of started in 2020 or so when Phish Radio came on XM and, whatever, pandemic and all that kind of stuff. Trey's story of sobriety and all of that kind of stuff too, and the newer lyrics that they have just all really hit home with me. And so I really fell back in love with the band after about a 2-decade hiatus for me. There's a song, I don't know what you know about Phish, but they Trey, the lead guitarist and band kind of leader of the band, I guess. I don't know. There's 4 pretty all significant parts. I don't think there would be a band without either of the 4, but anyway. But Trey, for his college thesis or some such, wrote a story called Gamehenge, an imaginary story set to music, and that's fueled their music for the past 40 years. And one of the songs is called Lizards. It is in Lizards that the phrase surrender to the flow happens, if you've heard me say that in the past previous 99 episodes. I'm sure I've said it more than a dozen times. That's the song I'm always looking for to hear live. They hadn't played it yet until last night, and they did play it last night in Alpine Valley, which this is not like they won't play it again. They won't play it again this tour probably, but they definitely won't play it again. They don't repeat songs very often. I will go to 5 shows in a row, and maybe some of the songs that they played the first night, they will play it on that last night, but not many of them. And so it really is a unique concert every single time that you go out, and it could be the same song. Like they have a song called Simple that maybe they'll play an 8-minute version, but like last night they played a 40-minute version where they just jam out for a while and explore. It's jazz, it's blues, it's rock and roll, it's whatever. I mean, it's they are phenomenal musicians. So I was a little bit sad looking at the playlist, the set list from last night, seeing Lizards. I've been looking for it just to see if it pops up. I was hoping that it wouldn't, so that I would have the chance to hear it, but they played it last night. I listened to it this morning on the Live Phish app, and it's just beautiful, and it really did it moves me in ways, and gives me the feelings and all that. And I come to realize 2 things, I guess. Like, it's probably best that I didn't hear it live because I probably would just come undone. Um, I don't even know. I might just melt right to the floor. Um, but also now I'm going in. There's still one more show tonight in Alpine Valley in Wisconsin, and then after that. So, but I'm going into the Phish trip with no expectations. Like I'm not looking for anything in particular, and in terms of fish life and life in general, that's a really good spot to be in when you can let go of expectations and indeed surrender to the flow. So, anyway, that's a late addition to the beginning of episode 100 here. Um, I want to take a big old step back to sometime towards the beginning of the week. I think I talked about money last week, and I'm still working on that. Like I have applied to a remote site, basically dealing with AI. It's called Outlier. I went through this, I don't know, 4 to 6 hour training. Um, it's pretty fascinating to think about working and helping develop AI. Uh, but so far, I haven't uh, been asked to complete any tasks for them. Hopefully, I will sometime soon. But also, as I was scrolling through the websites that I scrolled through sometime earlier in the week, I was on CNN.com and I scrolled down a little bit and I didn't notice, and I don't think it was. I think it was a real story, but maybe it was one of those sponsored stories, and it talked about refinancing your home and home equity. That's what it was about. Don't like use your home equity before it's too late and all this kind of stuff. And so I was like, well, I'm pretty much done. I've got a bunch of that. I got a bunch of equity in my home. I mean, not like a bunch. My house isn't worth that much. Just a regular 19 whatever 56 house. But but it's almost paid for. In the next couple of years, it'll be paid for. So I was like, man, well, let's just explore and see. So I'll put my name and stuff like that into Lending Tree, and I'm telling you not what not to do. Like this is a big SMH. I can't believe that I did this because I put my email address in, which is fine because my worldwide at yahoo.com email address collects all the spam, and I'm just so used to it all coming through that's kind of what that is used for. So I put all that in. And for whatever reason, though, I added in my phone number. I was just curious about what rates there would be and like what all was available, and just trying to think about like debt consolidation and what can I do to upgrade that, whatever. And man, as soon as I clicked submit to see, my phone started ringing like crazy. And I mean, I'm feeling so stupid here. I'm 46 and a half. We'll get to that in a bit, years old. And I teach these things. Like I teach civics and economics. I've taught personal financial literacy, like just a big old dole. Um, I did learn how to silence incoming calls from unknown users. Like I had to go and Google all that and figure out how to do all that through the iPhone. And I've been blocking callers and getting emails and texts, and it was a flurry for about 48 hours. I haven't gotten many since. So anyway, geez, I can't believe that I did that stupid thing. Um, Maybe I wouldn't need as much money if I could lay off the salty caramel truffle milkshakes. It was National Ice Cream Day, and I had seen the ad for salty caramel truffle blizzards. I hadn't had a blizzard in a long time. Like the Reese's Pieces blizzard for me back in the day was where it was at, and that one went away. And then I became a Butterfinger blizzard guy. But I really haven't had a blizzard in a while. I'm mostly just a vanilla guy. It's just how I am. And but the buttery stuff is good, and so the salty caramel truffle, I like that. I talked about how I don't really like the truffles in the bottom, and I will say like the place called Handles in Gastonia is where it's at. The place in town in Boiling Springs called Scoop Doodle Doo or whatever, they're not very consistent on their milkshakes. They need to come up with a better consistency. It was like I had one last night. It was a little bit too milky. Like it was just straight liquid. Like, anyway. But I will say that the salty caramel truffle blizzard from Dairy Queen is no good. It's just chocolate. It's like too much chocolatey and too much candy in every bite. Although the candy is toffee, and so that is good. But it wasn't what I was looking for. But I did go to get that on last Sunday. It's crazy how this has only been 1 week since National Ice Cream Day because, of course, as the meme says, it was the most historic National Ice Cream Day probably ever. And it's the day that President Biden posted on social media and wrote the letter that he was not going to seek reelection, that he was actually dropping out of the race. And then the next 48 hours, Kamala Harris seals up the deal, gathers the delegates, has all the people, like the Democrat Party just coalesces around her candidacy. Um, since then, like the vice presidential pick for Donald Trump, JD Vance, has maybe not imploded, but it's been a huge PR disaster over the last week. PR and political disaster with the what is it, the like childless cat lady comment, and like all of the different stuff that's coming out about JD Vance and how he probably isn't quite ready for prime time, which puts a lot of more emphasis on who Kamala Harris is going to pick. Um, it could be Roy Cooper in North Carolina. Somebody that he's definitely at the top of the list. So we'll see how all that plays out. But the race is tighter. There's energy, and what are we, 99 days away? And it's just wild stuff. Like Donald Trump is saying to a group of conservative Christians, quote unquote, in Florida, that he just needs them to vote one more time, and then he'll fix it all, and they won't have to vote again. Which, whatever that means or doesn't mean, I think that could be taken a little bit too far. But the way that he addresses the people, he calls them my beautiful Christians, my beautiful Christians. Can't you just hear him saying it? And like it just gives me Gollum vibes, and like the precious, and how it's almost obviously stated that the candidate is using the beautiful Christians, like this group of people, for whatever end they think is happening. But oh man, I don't know. It's just really wild stuff. But a lot of news breaking fast and fast. Like just crazy speeds about how things have changed. In fact, since the Olympics started, it really hasn't been. What do we've had like a couple of days without any really major news. But we'll keep up with that. It's what I do. I'm trying not to, I try not to be a political hack or anything like that on here. Just try to make my own predictions and analyze the things as best I can. And we'll see. We'll see where it all goes. I did Google my friend Gabe Wisnett. My friend Gabe Wisnett and I, we graduated class of 96 together from Crest High School. And he has worked as a reporter at the local Shelby Star and then the Gaston Gazette. He was down east in North Carolina some, in Goldsboro. He has been in Spartanburg. And this guy now is the weekend editor for an online Newsweek. And many of the stories that were breaking about, the Haley, the Haley for Biden pack, that was going to support Kamala Harris. And come on, man, it's Kamala. Like come on, stop saying Kamala just as a like. Why would you do that? And and just come on, pronounce her name right. Anyway, um, so but you should Google Gabe Wisnett and just see how you can. I mean, you can follow him. You can follow him via Google and just see all the stories that pops up. And I'm really, uh, I'm just really proud of him. Like I don't mean that in a like he's my homeboy. We're the same age. He's paid his dues, but like he is, he has real integrity as a journalist, real insight, and it's just awesome to see my guy doing so well. But anyway, hey, it is my half birthday. It's July 28th, and so I am now 46.5, halfway into my 47th year, and that is wild. So happy half birthday to me, and whew, 47 coming up. I typically will begin to say that I'm 47 before my actual birthday to try to, like, whatever the next year is coming up, to try to cushion that change. But man, like I am getting on over there. And I started trying to track my sleep through this app called Rise, and it calculates sleep debt ultimately, and you try to pay your sleep debt back a little bit at a time to gain your energy back. And because I just been feeling, I don't know if it's the constant heat or if it's like the stress that's somewhere in my mind of knowing that I'm about to fly on an airplane or go on this long trip or that school's. I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know. I'm just getting old, aging. So trying to get back into an energy cycle. I'm really just over summer. I really am ready for the fall season to kick off. I did get some of those blue blockers. Do y'all remember? Y'all don't remember. Y'all, most of the people here aren't old enough. But in the '80s, there were like blue blocker sunglasses you could drive with, and there was a like there was a commercial where they did this wrap. Anybody? But I got some of those blue light glasses. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're for me. I've never been a glasses guy. I've never had to have glasses. Of course, I probably should go and get checked, but anyway, that's just the old kind of stuff for me, and that's me over here, like tracking my sleep and wearing my blue blocker glasses at 7, watching Jeopardy, and then doing my wind down and all this kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I this is the 100th episode, and so I put it out last week if anybody had any questions, and you guys are amazing, um, amazing people, and so I got a few on email from my amazing listeners, and so I'm just going to read through those and answer these as best I can for episode 100, and then we'll get back to it next week as well and kick off the next 100 episodes. The first question was, what made you want to start a podcast? And I guess it's been about what, 2 years or so, a little over. And of course, the name is DT Madness. And I was going through some really significant mental health issues, really struggling with anxiety a couple of years ago, dealing with some health issues, which tends to fuel my anxiety, and or really fueled it at the time. And so I wanted to get on here. I'd tried out using Instagram, and I had a Church of Six Instagram page where I would do videos, vlogs, I guess. And I did that for a little while. And I really like to tell stories, though. I really like to tell stories. It's my teaching style. I've dabbled as a pastor at a church for a little bit. Kind of wanted to be that, but I love teaching and using storytelling, random rambling storytelling that hopefully weaves a point together, in and out, and it seems to be effective for teaching. But I do like processing. I like processing all of these things, and I like the fact that you guys listen to it and have commentary back, and that's pretty cool. But it's a way for me to process things of the week, but also how I um, deal with my own mental health journey. That's the madness part of DT Madness. Just the kind of wild man ramblings that go on in my head. It's yeah, the chronicles of the third life here, and I try to flesh out. I don't know, like these ideas that I have in my head, and how I go through this journey as a father. Like as a husband, as a teacher, as a mayor, as all these kinds of things. And I try to think about where my kids are at certain stages, and so like in the fall, I'm sorry, in the spring of this past year, our phrase was "Who am I?" and our theme song was the Who, and tried to make it, look, I am, Ron freaking Swanson, as he would say from Parks and Rec, but fill your name in there, and like to really embrace identity. And before that, it was "Nobody Wins, Afraid of Losing" from Chris Stapleton's song. And this coming season, I'm trying to figure out, and I think it's going to be "Make It Yours," and I haven't really written it yet. I'm going to write that up for my kids. This is for my kids, like this is for my own kids, Sydney and Isaac in particular, as Sam is making it his up in Boone. But just continuing on that theme of identity and caring less about what other people think, not in a bad way, but like in this way where you are confident in who you are. And so I like to share that kind of stuff on the podcast. I like to say things like, maybe this will be the year of the doctor. These are phrases that I write down through the week, because I probably should go to see the eye doctor. I probably need to go to the dermatologist. I probably should get screened. I'm almost 47. Um, and maybe even the real doctor at some point. I don't know what I think about preventative medicine. I guess it's pretty cool. But I don't go because, you know, I get anxious. And so it's better for me to just leave the Schrodinger's cat in the box and not know if it's dead or alive. But anyway, next question is, how do you decide what topics you talk about each week? Typically, it's just whatever I've been searching on Google. Like, it's just these ideas that come into my head. I'll use pictures that I've taken from the week. I mean, obviously, when there are major historical things that happen or major milestones that happen, I'm talking about those. I'm talking about college tours, or, back to school, or a fish trip, or presidential stuff. But sometimes it's like on a college tour, I learned at Davidson that in their application they have a peer recommendation as well, and it got me thinking, like, who would I ask as a 46.5-year-old? Like, who would I ask um, to do my peer recommendation? And how would I rate my own peers? I almost, before these questions came in, I was going to rate myself using the peer recommendation. Now that would be some DT madness. Maybe that'll come. Maybe that'll come next week, or like just random things. My handyman repairs. I will say that I fixed my lawnmower, my push lawnmower, and because it would crank and it would immediately go off. And so the Google says it's probably your carburetor. It could be a spark plug. It might be your fuel line, whatever. So I got some carburetor cleaner and I sprayed it in there the first time after I located where the carburetor was. And it didn't do the trick. And so then I was like, well, I'm going to try out the spark plug. And so I went to the local hardware store, and I needed to get a spark plug wrench because I don't have one, or if I do, I don't know where it is. And I needed a new spark plug. And so I went to the local hardware store and I'm looking at them, and I didn't know which spark plug to get. And I didn't see the wrenches. But the guy there, his name is CJ, he's like, let me just run home right quick. And he got on his motorcycle and he went home, which is not far. And he got his like DeWalt socket set, brought it back, let me take it home to try out that I skipped a step. The first is he let me take the I forget, 5/8, whatever. He let me take the one that it goes with most spark plugs home and try it out. Just leave the tag on it. I came home, it didn't fit, so I'm taking it back, realizing that I had put a spark plug in my pocket. So Isaac's kind of like, "Oh no, you've shoplifted, and all this kind of stuff." But I knew it wasn't a problem because they let me take the thing home. I didn't pay for it yet. So I took the other socket back. It didn't fit. And I'm like, you know what I need is the 13th, 16th, because I think that's it. And he's like, I tell you what, let me just run home. He went home and got his socket set. Let me take it back, unscrew my spark plug, which I was able to do. And then I took that spark plug back to the store. I'm back and forth like 4 or 5 times now, but it's less than a mile away, and got the spark plug that would probably work. And I got it screwed in. It was a different size, different socket, like hex size, but the same length and everything. Um, and then he's letting me use his wrench the whole time, his socket wrench. And so I finally take that back. I got the spark plug in, pull it. Oh, it ran like for a half second longer, but it didn't work. So I took it back and I was like, man, I appreciate it. Paid for the spark plug that I'd taken, um, and back on my way. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to spray this carburetor thing one more time. So I took the whole engine apart for the most part. I mean, like, it was precarious though. It was almost all about to fall apart. Like, I had unscrewed whatever screws, and then because if it would have fallen all apart, I wouldn't have been able to put it back together. I'm pretty good at taking stuff apart, and so I try to be really careful about only doing one step at a time. And but I got it out and I just sprayed that carb cleaner all over and just cleaned out all areas that I didn't even think were the carburetor. Put the things back on, screwed it back together, got it down, pulled it, boom, and oh, it started running. And it ran for a few minutes and it was great. It was great. So then I'm going to cut my grass because it'd been a while. And uh, I started cutting the grass, and I'm not even kidding. Like 1 minute in, it started sprinkling rain. I'm like, oh, that's fine. This will feel good. And then about 1 minute later, it was pouring down. But I wasn't going to let that rainstorm steal my repair joy. And so I'm out there like a fool with my brand new lawnmower, repaired lawnmower, push lawnmower, cutting tall grass in the wet. So I'm having to stop every 5 minutes or so because the thing will get clogged up. But I got that sucker done and it felt good. It felt good. It did. I was nasty. But you know what? What I realized is like, there's so much that is the case. And I've talked about this with my friend Nick, my friend Matthew. Like, having the right tools is a huge deal. Like, if I would have had just having the right tools is so important to your ability to get things done. Like I don't know how to do a lot of things, but it is way more difficult for me to know how to do those things because I don't have the right tools. So that's interesting. So, look, things like that, I go through those, and that's just regular stuff that I think highlights real life for us. And so those are how I pick topics each week. My favorite part of podcasting so far is, I don't know, probably just sitting back here listening to myself talk. I do like to check the stats and see that, a couple hundred people a week are listening, and that's wild. I don't know if you're listening to the whole thing or if you just like that intro jazz. I do. Swingy jazz is what it's called. But I really do enjoy it, and it is really good for me. It's good for me to process all these kinds of things, to put my thoughts in order through the week. I'm excited that it'll be there for posterity. I would love to have something like this from my own dad. But yeah, so that definitely has been. I really do enjoy doing it each week. My least favorite, I don't really have a least favorite. I guess I guess if I had to say what would I want more out of it, maybe there could be more interaction. I'd love to know who more of my listeners are, but I mean that's kind of the nature of podcasting. Part of what I like about it is that I get to say all these things um, on a one-way street. But I don't want you to misunderstand me, and so I do like the conversation. Um, but yeah, so anyway, what are you looking forward to? What are you most looking forward to when school starts back? Man, I got a lot on this list, so this is probably where the big heft of the show comes in. A bunch of stuff. I mean, a bunch of stuff. I don't know who this person is, CFX9, whatever the person is that did the Brat Summer video or song or anything like this. And I've seen some of the remixes of Kamala Harris and how she's become like a TikTok meme star because of she's Brat and all this kind of stuff. And that's the new generational divide. And I really do try to figure out what these terms mean before I go in. Like if I go in talking about Riz or I go in talking about whatever, like cooking or let's eat, or she ate that up or anything like this. Like I try to know the language of the kids and then go in there and use it. But of course, I try to use it at like just a little bit off. Because then it gets the kids rolling their eyes and they think I'm some kind of old fuddy duddy, which is probably obvious if I use the word fuddy duddy. Um, but I know what I'm doing, and I know that I'm doing that, but it helps to foster these relationships with the kids because then they can roll their eyes at me and think that they got something on me, and so I'm already looking forward to like the very first couple of days putting up a slideshow of like me cooking bratwursts, and saying, man, I really did enjoy brat summer, and then even put the picture of the person up that sang the song and some other memes like I thought it was brought the whole time, and the kids will be smirking and snickering and thinking I'm dumb and stupid, and it'll just be a way to it's a way to connect, and they don't even know it, and it's great. I love doing that kind of stuff. I've thought about the sacredness of language. I was talking to one of my friends, Anna, on the Marco Polo, I guess, and we were talking about how something that she was doing gave language to the way that she feels, and it really sparked the way that I think about. It really sparked a thought that to begin to think about language and the words that we use, because that's how we think. I mean, that's predominantly how most people think, and how important those words are, and how important it is that you read more so that you can improve your language, because the more language that you have available to you, that's why it's so like, honestly, if I could go to the store and download the chip and learn other languages just like that, then I would do it. To understand the way people view the world through the Spanish language, or through Mandarin, or through whatever, like, because the different words that you have makes you think differently. And there's this human experience, this human existence that we have, that we're all trying to get as close as we can to identifying, to explaining. I don't know what the word is, you know what I mean? But like, that's the point. And so the more language that we have at our command, it it helps us to know ourselves and each other better. And I mean, the word logos is the word that is used for the Christ in the Christian religion. Like, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was God. Like, this is language is really important, and literacy. And I don't just mean that you can let your eyes fall over the page, but that you can develop this understanding through the tool of language. And it isn't just words. I mean, music is a way to capture these types of feelings and these types of longings and experiences where words fail. It's why I love a 40-minute song by Fish, where, okay, we'll sing words for 5 or so minutes, but then after that, it's a different brain, it's a different mind, but it's still language. It's still a form of the word, and art. I talked about art last week, and I like, there's an energy that comes from that that kind of art. There's an electricity, that can be conveyed. The stories that are words but convey deeper meanings, like myth. And yeah, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to school, because it's what I get to do. And in you know uh, classes that I teach, like AP Seminar, I can give them poems to read, like the one I read by Mary Oliver in House of Light, or this quote that came where she says, "Still, what I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts, and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I am looking into the white fire of a great mystery. I want to believe that the imperfections are nothing, that the light is everything, that it is more than the sum of each flawed blossom rising and falling." And I do. And so, like, it's, I get to put those things in front of students and challenge them and encourage them to allow that language to speak to them, to open them up in ways that they maybe haven't before, to give them different opportunities to think. I take my job very seriously. I don't want them to think the way that I think, at least not in terms of content. I don't honestly really care too much about where they arrive or what path they take, but I do want to give them those tools. Like, I really think that's important. And we have a huge discussion about that. Like we have a huge discussion or debate in our society. I talked about it last week how the conservative movement really wants to end the Department of Education. They want to expand uh, private school opportunities and charter school opportunities and so on, and really begin to dismantle the public school situation, which we can have that debate. But I worry that our public schools, especially in rural areas like mine, that the public schools are at the heart of who we are as a community. It's not the only place. There are other places, I mean, in my rural community, you think about things like churches certainly are right there at the beginning, maybe some places of business, um, other gathering spaces, but public schools are right there at the beginning. I mean, there is nothing more cultural in small town North Carolina than Friday night high school football. And so to begin to dismantle those types of things dismantles culture, it dismantles the community. And I was going to say even more than that, at least equal to that. What is concerning is this willingness to dismantle knowledge. To you know, for I see that these people who are just, well, we just need to get back to reading, writing, and arithmetic. Well, okay, I understand what you mean, and I think that for many of our kids, equipping them with the right tools to succeed at whatever profession they're going into so that they can make themselves some money, so that they can have a financial situation that is stable for a family, and they can develop a framework for stability, not only for them, but for the generations that come after. For sure. For sure. And so the tools that we use in education should be financial responsibility. It should be basic mathematics and understanding whatever, like geometry, so you could do carpentry, or there should be these skills that can be learned. But it doesn't mean we just have to stop there. you know Tools like understanding art and understanding language and literature, the liberal arts, seeing the world through another person's eyes, understanding how other people view things, working towards getting closer and closer to the mark of what it means to be human on my own and with other people who come from different backgrounds than I do, and then working towards that mark together and seeing how much we can arrive at in similarity, and then discussing the differences and maybe still disagreeing. Like, those are valuable tools to what it means to live as a human being. And so this move to categorize that type of knowledge, I'm not talking about indoctrinating your kids, man. I'm not talking about that. I know that there are teachers out there who do stupid stuff. Of course there are. They're humans. Humans are stupid in many cases. And those people should be removed from the profession. But it's this passion. So, like, what am I looking forward to when I get back to school? All of that kind of stuff, providing my kids with tools, having the discussion about what tools we should have, being an advocate for public schools in this era where there is a major attack underway. Definitely in North Carolina, in Florida, from the National Party. Anyway, I did get an e card from my place of work from Cleveland County Schools about my 20th work anniversary. I did 2 years at Statesville Christian School, but I only got 1 year of service from that. So really, this is my 21st, going into my 22nd year in terms of retirement. But it's the 20th year, like 2 decades, and I think about all the students, all the other teachers that I've gotten to work with. How much I've grown and learned as a teacher. Wondering what I was like when I was fresh, out of the gate that first couple years. Um, Wonder what those students thought about me back then. Yeah. So, and I mean, I'm looking forward to telling them not to do stupid stuff like on Lending Tree. So, anyway, that was a long one, but I am looking forward to school. I'm passionate about it. Are you planning to watch the Olympics? If so, what's your favorite sport to watch? Oh, yeah, I'm all in. I love the Olympics. Um, we go back and forth about whether we like summer or winter. I think I am a summer guy. when it comes to the Olympics. We watched the opening ceremonies. That jump was wild. That was wild. But it's like that modern art. I mean, it really was. It was modern art in a lot of ways. And so it was a lot of like, what is happening? And I don't know. I've heard some criticisms. I thought it was really fantastic. The person singing Imagine on that boat, that was beautiful. I didn't get to see the hot air balloon thing. I need to watch the video of that because we had our yoga club. Um, but yeah, I love it. And I watch swimming. I'm excited about swimming. I like the new swimming scoreboard they got. We're down at the bottom and it shows you who's in which lane. But as the thing is going along, it actually, whoever's in the lead is out farther. You'll see it if you're watching it. I like that. But man, we've been watching badminton. Badminton is amazing. Table tennis. I've been watching some of that. I watched fencing. I saw the archery. South Korean women's team won again. They've never not won gold. Oh man, I try to watch the horses some. The horse dancing or the dressage or whatever. That's kind of fun. I don't care much about like mountain biking or skateboarding, like the usual, the old X Games stuff. That's not really for me. I'll probably watch basketball later. I don't know. This really seemed like Olympics to me, but track and field for sure. I can't wait for track and field. That'll be next week. But I love all these other little sports that don't usually get attention in handball, maybe water polo. You know, some of the stuff I kind of flip back and forth between. But yeah, I'm definitely here for for the Olympics. Will you ever have guests on your podcast? And if so, who would you want to have on? I talked about this last week. I've thought about trying to track down some of my old students and interviewing them and seeing what they're up to now, and maybe interviewing them or maybe interviewing some other teachers. But I don't know. I haven't. I guess the kids were on one episode, and I don't know. We need to maybe I need to have some guests sometime, but I don't know if it might be weird for them to be back here in my nook. But I guess we could move another blue chair back here. But yeah, so anyway, thank you guys so much for listening for 100 episodes, for listening to me ramble. I hope that it all comes out. In the end, I don't ever know what the title is until actually I begin to upload. So we'll see what the title is of this one as it goes on. But this has been a Church of Six production brought to you by the Bucket of Life, the Rope of Relationship, the Foundation Tower of Stone, the Wall of Belief, the Token of Hope, and the Magic Rock times one received and one given. Nothing divine is desperate, and in order to be, try to never seem. May all your circumstances serve to awaken compassion, and as you go, teach peace. Don't forget to believe, y'all, and be live. Grace and peace, my friends.